Hey there, this is Angela, the Woodland Gardener. If you're new, welcome, and if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Today I want to talk about something very exciting that we did for the garden this past weekend. We built another raised bed right there. It took us a couple of days. It doesn't really take that long, but we were working around scheduling constraints and running out of daylight and so forth like that. So we did it over a period of two different sessions. I'm going to show you step by step how we did this. This is the seventh one that we've built together, and I think that we can probably do these in our sleep by now. We've done these over a period of years. If we were to do all of these beds at once, it would get pretty pricey. So starting back in 2014, we've done one almost every year. I think we didn't do one last year. So if you're interested, stick around. So while I'm waiting for my lovely assistant, aka my husband, who is not just the assistant, he's like the main character in this show. He does the building. I am the assistant. I'll go over what the materials are. So the beds that we do are 3 foot by 12 foot. So the lumber that we bought, there are 6 pieces altogether. The one on the top is a 4x4 pine, pressure treated pine post, 8 feet long. And then the other 5 boards below that are cedar, and those are 2x6 by 12. So these are the 2 boards that we'll be cutting. One of them is the 4x4 by 8 pine. The other one is the 2x6 by 12 cedar. So with the 2x6 by 12, what we're doing is cutting it into 3 foot sections. So 2 3-foots will go on each end of the bed. So pretty simple, not rocket science. I can't take you in any closer because I am holding.
You can let go.
I was just told I can let go, so maybe I'll take you in closer. Alright, we're on our last little section here. We have 6 feet and we're cutting it into 2 3-foot pieces. Pretty simple math. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that, but just in case. What do they say? Measure twice, cut once. I found that to be true not only in carpentry, but also in sewing.
This one's going to be the fun one.
So we've got our 4 3-foot pieces of the cedar here, which will be the ends of the bed, and next we'll be working on our 4x4 post. So we're going to cut this 8-foot 4x4 pressure treated pine into 6 pieces that are 16 inches long, and those will be the anchors or the supports for each corner and the midsection of the bed. So we really love the fact that we have a good table saw to do this, but I think you could get by without one. So we're making the last cut here. So we got a little bit of a late start tonight, and all we're going to do for tonight was just the cutting, which is what we did. And then within the next day or two, weather permitting, we'll go ahead and do the assembly. So I will be back. So today we're going to be actually assembling everything. So we've got all of our pieces laid out here. So what we're doing first is attaching these short ends, and we're just using deck screws to screw them into the post. We use 3 screws at each attach point, and the deck screws they're roughly, like, I think they look like they're close to 4 inches long. They just need to be long enough to go through the 2x6 and into the post to hold it securely. So we do 3 screws on each attach point. We laid the second board right up against the top board and just doing the same thing, screwing it in with the 3 deck screws. And then we'll just do the same thing over on this end to make one of the short sides. And when I keep saying we, what I really mean is my awesome husband who does all of this, and I'm so thankful to have his help. One very smart thing that he does when he's putting these together is to use this clamp to hold the boards nice and snug. That way they'll stay in place while he attaches this other end. So we always pre-drill holes. That's one thing that he taught me about carpentry. I never knew that before, to make sure your wood doesn't split. I'm sure you guys probably know that. It was a new, interesting, helpful fact for me. So next we'll just build that second end piece, and it's done exactly the same as the first one. The ends on these beds are 3 feet wide, and then we cut these posts to 16 inches, so 12 to cover the width of the 2 boards, and then 4 for the bottom to sink into the ground. Almost finished. So what we're doing next is attaching the first of the long boards to these end pieces. And it's essentially just the same thing. 3 screws at each attaching point for each board, for each place where it joins up. And it's rinse and repeat. Same like with the short ends. Clamp the 2 boards together to hold them nice and snug so they don't move around while you're securing them to the post. And same thing, 3 screws. So we measured for the midpoint on this long 12-footer, and that's where the support post will go for the middle. So he's using the clamps to hold that in place. So we've got the posts clamped on, 1 clamp on each side. And same thing, 3 screws for the top board, 3 screws on the bottom board, and that'll hold it in nice and snug, secure. I found sawdust all over my shoes from the other day when we were cutting the first boards down to size. That's a good problem to have in my book. So then all we did was to flip it over so it's standing on its little feet, and we just have the other long boards to attach. And one more time to turn it over so it's actually resting on its side, which, duh, that does make sense. There's a reason why he's the builder and I'm the gardener. I would be out here for 2 full days building these beds, and like I said, I think he could pretty much do these in his sleep. So the first board on this side is just about done. And putting the second board in place. And same thing again, you just line it up so it matches, lines up on the ends here. And make sure the boards are snug together, which he'll use the clamps for. And we're getting really close. I mean, it's almost done. It's amazing how fast these come together. Even if it might be your first time building this, it's a pretty simple concept, and if you have the right tools, these come together pretty quickly. And measuring the halfway point to install the center post. So we ran into just a little bit of a snag. It shouldn't be a big deal. We had to use one of the clamps to hold the board snug because there's a little bit of a gap. And so that means only one clamp to hold the post onto the 2x6s. I can hold too if that's helpful.
I need you to hold this up there. Just hold that.
Okay. So I actually get to help out just for a minute because only that side's clamped. So he was able to get one screw on each end of it, so he could take the other clamp off now and put it where it needs to be. And we're pretty much finished. Maybe, is that it? Alright, now comes the fun part. Setting it up right and kind of putting it where we think we're going to place it. So for now, we're just letting it kind of rest right here. I think this is where I want it to go, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to let it sit here for about a week and come out and look at it, ponder it. We have a good overhead view of the garden from the upstairs window, so I'll be able to look out there and see if I think this is the best spot. I know this is going to be a really good sunny spot, so that's pretty important. The couple things to consider is we are going to be putting a greenhouse in right there, so I'll have to measure that area and make sure that they're not going to be butting up against each other or too close. And then also how much room do I want to leave in between these two for a walking path, pulling the mower or the cart in between. So for now we're done. So as far as cost, if you're wondering about that, the beds are not inexpensive, especially given the way that lumber prices skyrocketed after 2020, or during 2020 and after. I found that these beds hold up over time, and to me they're worth the investment because I know I'm going to get a lot of years out of them. And also I wanted them to kind of fit in with the look of our house and our shed right back there. I think it just looks nice, so it's kind of why I don't mind spending the money on it. Plus, gardening is my main hobby. I don't really spend a lot of money on clothes or many other hobbies, so this is where my money goes. To get into details of cost, if you're interested, for the 5 2x6 by 12 foot cedar boards and the 4x4 8-foot pressure treated pine post, all of that came up to be just under $200. It's a chunk of change. It's not inexpensive, but I would say don't let that deter you if you're wanting to build a raised bed. You don't have to do it out of wood. You don't have to do it out of cedar. Even if you went with all pine, you probably would get by a lot cheaper. I would say though, no matter which kind of wood you choose, to do your research. There are some camps that believe pressure treated pine is not good to put in a bed where you're going to be growing food. So I would encourage you to definitely do some reading before you build. Also, you don't need to build a bed out of wood at all. I've seen dozens of types of raised beds. Some people build them out of metal, which look really, really cool, or just use a big galvanized tub. Or you really don't even need a structure to have a raised bed. You could just build a row of mounded up soil. So it's still a raised bed, but it doesn't have any sides containing it. There are all kinds of ways to do it. Like I said, this is just the way that I do it because I like the look of it with our house and because they hold up really well. So when I said they hold up really well, they really do. This was sort of an unusual situation where the posts on this one rotted out, which caused the sideboards to fall off. So we are planning to fix that this year. We don't have to take the bed out in order to fix it. My husband's got a plan for doing. Other than that, none of the others have shown any signs of decay. Like this one was put in 2014, then the next one we did in 2015, and other than needing, you know, restaining along the sides, it's holding up really well without showing any signs of decay. I hope that you found this helpful or at least interesting, and if you did, if you would like and subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And until next time, this is Angela reminding you to get out there and play in the dirt.